Look, last season was kind of a funky season, to say it lightly. We had COVID, we had a shortened season, 56 games, so not everybody, bounced back or had a great season. And here are some of the names of guys who have set higher standards for themselves and didn't quite live up to it in 2020, 2021. Take a look at it. A guy like Victor Arvidsson, just 10 goals. Rasmus Dahlin, the former #1 overall pick, -36 rating. You can go up and down here. All of these guys poised to hopefully have a bounce-back year. And Stu, you've highlighted a couple of guys who you really think could have a big bounce-back year. And one of those guys made the move from Columbus to Winnipeg, and it just didn't quite work out how we all thought it might. Pierre-Luc Dubois, why do you think he's poised for a big year?
I think he's the safest player on that list that we just showed you to have a bounce-back year. For this reason, J-Mo, you can't fall off the floor. You simply cannot fall off the floor. He had 8 goals last year. For a guy that we customarily see 50 points-ish from a really promising forward, a guy that's established himself as an impact forward in this game, power forward, if you will. Again, it was a wonky year. He's traded mid-season, kind of a holdout situation, or at least a request to be traded situation. During the transition back to a Canadian team, he's forced into a quarantine, which gets him further behind the curve. And it's really hard for players, skaters especially, to catch a moving train. That's exactly what he had to do last year. Nikita Kucherov made that look very easy, but that's an outlier. That's a rarity. So Pierre-Luc Dubois, I think, with a bona fide, kind of typical offseason, will be able to kind of reset, recenter, jump back into that Winnipeg Jets environment, and I think have a more typical year in the coming year, returning to 50 points plus production. Like him on a line, potentially with Stashny down the middle, perhaps an Ehlers on the left side. That's a group that can make some noise for the Jets.
All right, so how about in Boston? The Bruins kind of waiting for Jake DeBrusk to be the Jake DeBrusk that we've seen the last couple of years, and he just never found that consistency in and out of the lineup at times. Why do you think he's poised for a big year?
He's got all the tools. He really has all the weapons. Jake DeBrusk, in my estimation, is a guy that will clearly be motivated to kind of jump back to that. Listen, this was 27 goals and a career high for Jake DeBrusk, going back just a couple years in time. But this is a big, strong power forward, a guy that's capable of producing a lot more. And 2, with the loss of David Krejci, the Bruins are, and believe me, the coaching staff of the Boston Bruins will be in constant communication. And this is assuming that Don Sweeney elects to start the season with Jake DeBrusk, but the coaching staff will be in constant communication about communicating expectations and inspiring, motivating, better way to say it, Jake DeBrusk to get back to typical form, putting him in a position to succeed and to shoulder some of the load given the absence of David Krejci.
All right, so Dubois and DeBrusk, both guys we just saw there, RFAs coming up after this season. This next guy you want to talk about is an RFA right now, and boy, does Philly hope that Carter Hart has a bounce-back year. What do you make of what you expect from him this year? Yeah,
this will be an interesting, situation for Carter Hart. He's never really been at this stage at any point, given his brief NHL history, but he's going to have to be, a 1, mechanic to his game, and then 2, we're fond of talking about the goaltending position, as there is no more mental or more mentally challenging position than the position of netminder. Carter Hart's going to have to tinker with what's going on between the ears and alongside of the coaching staff, goaltending staff of the Philadelphia Flyers. But Carter Hart, to me, he has all the weapons. I think the one concern, or maybe just footnote, I would put in all this, Martin Jones comes over in the absence now, the departure of Brian Elliott. Brian Elliott, a fabulous number 2 to support a player in Carter Hart's position. Martin Jones comes out of the San Jose environment, where he's kind of in a situation where he's going to be exercising some of his own demons. Is he in a good Is he in a good frame of mind to support a guy like Carter Hart and get him back to that elite level form that we kind of saw from him at an earlier stage in his career? That's something for fans to keep an eye on.
I'm sensing a theme here, motivation, whether it's money, getting paid, or whether it's not losing your #1 gig. How about we'll stay with the Flyers, Travis Konechny. What do you think?
Well, let me stay right up front. Large, extra large sized man crush for Travis Konechny. Love me some Travis Konechny. Scrappy, not gifted. I mean, he's not a 6'1", 6'2", 220 pounder.
He's a gamer though.
He's pretty scrappy. He really is. You get a lot of mileage out of a guy like Travis Konechny. It's not always pretty, but you get the same thing from him typically every night. In my estimation, because there's a lion-sized heart beating inside the chest of the Philadelphia Flyers forward, you're going to see Travis Konechny return to that more 40-plus points type production that you've seen from him in the past. And I think, too, this is a Philadelphia Flyers roster, for me, that I thought was capable of making some noise last year, fell very short of doing that. This is, Travis Konechny making a contribution in terms of the greater collective there of the guys in the orange shirts. I expect more from them, and him specifically.
Yeah, you weren't the only one. There were a lot of high expectations in Philly and around the league for the roster that they had on paper, and it just didn't quite play out the way we thought it might last season.